Welcome to another episode of Frame by Frame, the show where my friend gives me a movie, I watch it, and then we talk about it. But first, who am I here with and what movie are we watching?
My name is Justin D'Amelio. I'm a sophomore, and the movie we'll be talking about is Ford versus Ferrari.
So, before anything, could you just give us a quick summary of the movie? What's it all about?
So we follow Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby as they team up to beat Ferrari in the 24-hour of Le Mans in 1966. Ford attempts to buy out Ferrari, but they refuse, and eventually bought out by Fiat. Carroll Shelby builds the Ford GT40 and asks Ken Miles to drive it. After Carroll is unable to due to medical conditions, Ford is unhappy with this decision, but they understand it's the best option.
All right, I feel like that's a pretty good summary of the movie. So, overall, what did you really think of the movie?
Well, overall, I think that this movie is a great movie. It definitely understands and explains the history behind Shelby and, the history of Ford in the Le Mans race and how, leads up to, the future of Ford.
Yeah, I agree with you. Me personally, I'm not a really big car guy. Before this movie, only movies that I've seen that are big with cars are the Fast and the Furious saga and Gran Turismo.
Well, obviously those are great movies too.
Yeah, they are, of course, great movies. But once you're pushing the sixth movie, you're kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
You don't need all of them. Anyways, it's a very long movie, but I will say it's worth it.
Very worth it.
It's about 3 hours, right?
It's around 2 hours, but
2 or 3 hours.
just around that.
Just around it. But it's a great watch. I would 100% recommend it. And overall, I feel like you said, it really sums up the story and the history of these cars and the drivers behind it. And it really hits close to home in the sense that for a car enthusiast, it should be really exciting to watch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I saw it in theaters with my father and my cousin, and we were both extremely excited to see this movie.
Really?
We were up on our seats after they won. We were just filled with excitement.
It's understandable. It's really emotional movie in the sense tear jerking with the ending of the movie, which we will get to in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel I would 100% recommend it for other people. It's a great movie. What was your favorite part of the movie though?
Oh, definitely my favorite part is the Le Mans race. That was the best part because for Le Mans race, if you don't know, back in the day, they started here, and then the car is over here. So they have to run to the car. And then they get in the car, right? And then when Ken gets in the car, he can't close his door. So for the first lap of the race, he's just trying to close his door the whole way. So then the pit crew, they're trying to close it. The guy grabs the hammer, hits the car, and he's back on the race. It was exciting. You see him just weaving through all the cars, the crashes, the speed, the emotion, the intensity of the movie was just absolutely amazing. The end is definitely one of the best parts, or in my opinion, the best part.
But with that part, you kind of glossed over not a really big fact, but an interesting fact. While Ken Miles is doing this, obviously he's pretty far behind. So not only does he set 1, but 2 lap records in order to catch back up to Ferrari and, stay in that race, which I feel he's absolutely pushing that car to his limit, but in a good way, and obviously it pays off in the end.
Absolutely. The one problem with the car is the brakes.
Yeah.
They had to change the brakes, and Ferrari saw this and reported them because they didn't read the manual, and they thought it was illegal, but in reality, it wasn't. So they were allowed to change the brakes of the car. They already knew it was going to be a problem, so that's why they had extra brakes.
Yeah, and didn't one of the mechanics at Ford invent this whole new contraption in order to replace the brakes very quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which, and fun fact, actually did happen in real life. One of those mechanics did invent that machine or whatever it was to replace the brakes, which is just a cool little fact.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to do an ending reaction and an overall rating of the movie. Welcome back to the show. Now let's go over the ending and overall ratings of the movie. So, Justin, you were talking about ending is, your favorite part. I'll let you take it from here.
So, the ending, obviously, best part of the movie, in my opinion. The race, right? they're around the 23-hour mark of the movie, right? Things are getting intense. Things are getting more intense, right? But, late, further back, Ferrari gets out of the competition, right? Their cars crash. All three of the cars crashed. So Ken, you just see him after the last car crashes. He's just filled with excitement. He's just going through the gears, just absolutely going through the gears, just rushing it through the track, just trying to finish, just trying to, be in front, right? So, at the end, right, there's a.
I know what you're but at the end of the race, there's he's on par to make a track record. Like he's about 2 minutes ahead of the rest of them. He's ready, but he gets a call in from the booth or whoever, and they're basically just like, hey, we need this for publicity. We're gonna need you to slow down. So all three Ford cars are finished at the same time and are able to get that photo finish. First time in history. They wanted to make history. That's why they were in this. But they eventually, Ken's kind of like, I really don't want to do this because I'm on par to break records, set new records.
He really just wants to win.
Yeah, he wanted to win. And I understand where he's coming from. If I'm the best out here, I want my recognition for that. But eventually, Carol's just like, listen, you got to do this and stuff. And eventually, he's kind of like, whatever. So he does it. Come to find out, Ford doesn't win, McLaren does. Because of a technicality where it's like, oh, McLaren started 8 seconds behind or something. So they got that extra 8 seconds or whatever. So they beat Ford. But thankfully and eventually, Ken Miles does get his recognition. He's recognized as that amazing racer, all that stuff. And a little bit later, they're testing out the prototype for a new Ford GT40. And obviously, you mentioned the brakes not being the best earlier.
Brakes not being the best.
Yeah. Same thing kind of happens. He's doing a test drive. Brakes fail him again. Ken Miles crashes and unfortunately doesn't make it out. What hurts me the most, or what hurts me the second most, is that his son had to watch his dad crash and die. And that's just got to be I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, in all honesty. But at the end of the movie, Carroll Shelby kind of goes up to his son and he's like, here's the wrench that your dad threw at me a couple of years ago during one of his first races. And, it just kind of brings everything back full circle. And it's not a happy ending, but it's a good ending, in all honesty.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the saddest parts in that movie, or the saddest part. Just watching your father die on the track is just, you just see his reaction, as soon as you saw the fire and then you just saw everyone running, you just see his face of disbelief, and I bet that kid's just distraught, just absolutely flabbergasted, what just happened to my dad.
I mean, he saw his dad crash earlier in the scene, but he was able to make it out. Those same thoughts were probably going through his head again. He was just thinking my dad will make it out. He'll make it out. He did it before. He could do it again. But he just doesn't. And it's just, it hurts my heart. But overall, what would you rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10? And how highly would you recommend it to other people?
Oh, this movie is 10 out of 10.
Really?
The production, the cars, the people, the cast, everyone is just, everyone played their part so well in that movie, and that's why I give it a 10 out of 10. And I would say for any person who likes history of older cars or any just car enthusiast, I would definitely watch that movie just to give an understanding of Le Mans and Ford and Ferrari and all the other companies, what the cars looked like back then, because now the cars are completely different.
Yeah.
So you'd like to see that history of the cars and compare it until now.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't know much about older cars, how they're built, engine, stuff like that. That's not really my forte. I just like admiring them. Like older cars, I've always been in love with them, especially like Ford cars like that. And it was really just an amazing movie. I would personally give it a 9.5 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with the movie. It's just I don't want to give movies 10 out of 10s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I would 100% recommend it to other people. I'm guessing you would as well. And it's just a great movie and everything overall. That's going to do it for our episode of Frame by Frame. Thank you so much for watching. Next up, we're going to have my friend Vala up here, and we're going to be talking about The Crow.